My name is Abigail Ewing, and I came to Harrisonburg from State College, Pennsylvania, which is where I grew up. And I just came to visit EMU by recommendation of some family, and I really liked the cross-cultural program, and at the time the Spanish program was pretty strong, and I liked the Bible professors that I met, so I decided to come here and settle in. I just take recycled fabrics from old blankets or clothes, especially like corduroy pants and stuff like that, and or old bed sheets, and make items that are practical, like bags for biking and hats and baby clothes and little shoes and stuff like that, and or just my own clothes a lot of times, and sometimes I sell them, but a lot of times I just give them away for birthday presents and stuff like that. And my mom taught me how to sew when I was 12 or 13, and I just really like the hands-on, being able to look at something that was old corduroy pants, and then having a finished product, like a cool hat, and I don't know, it's just really satisfying to be able to build something and see it finished and see someone else enjoying it. And I guess that's why I give it away, because I don't really I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's selling out to sell something that I made and spend a lot of time on, and it's a lot more meaningful if I have somebody in mind when I'm making it. My mom used to do that a lot too, with old clothes. Some of my first Halloween outfits were she made me this really sweet leopard costume from an old fur coat, and she made take old jeans and make big quilts for laying out in the grass or whatever, just to beat up. And it was just really fun to learn those kinds of things from her. When I was just starting out, my mom was really into using patterns and stuff like that, and it was just really complicated, and so it took me a long time to make something small and practical. And then one of my best friends from growing up, Kelly, she showed me how to make patterns and clothing patterns and stuff. It was something that I could actually do instead of having to wait for my mom to help every second. And so so I started making my own clothes and stuff when I was probably 15. And I think I've gotten a lot better. When I first started out, I feel I jammed my mom's sewing machine every 5 seconds, and she'd have to help me a lot. And so now I can do pretty much, I feel I could make pretty much a pattern for any piece of clothing. And I made a lot of baby clothes for my nephew, and quilts and that kind of thing. Not Mennonite quilts though, just comforters. I feel I probably shouldn't even say quilts, but and so I've definitely gotten better. And it's also now that the internet, everybody has a blog, and there's so many tutorials for making things. I don't really have to know how to make anything. I can just look at somebody else's, and that's basically how our wedding happened. It was I just looked at a million tutorials online how to make different things. It's really exciting to, I don't know, this is kind of cheesy, but one of my roommates a couple years ago, I lived in an intentional community. She was really into trying to Shane Claiborne talks about practical resurrection of things, and so she was really into this, but took it to the max. And so we would go dumpster diving and get flour from the dumpster and make bread and use it for communion at church. And she was this is it, this is practical resurrection happening right here. And so sometimes I think about that, getting some 3XL pair of corduroys at gift and thrift or something that I don't know anyone who could wear them, and making them into cool little baby overalls or some kind of quilt. And it just it feels good to take something that's trash, because I hate junk, and making it into something practical. And even with stuff around our house, when our pants get old, making them into stuff, or I don't know, things like that. Just it's fun and exciting, and just kind of dumpster diving. It's you go to the dumpster and you're wow, there's all this stuff that could have just been in a landfill, and now it's in our fridge and we can eat it. I just sewing in general, I think, is kind of especially practical sewing, not quilting, because that's kind of an art form and takes a lot of time learning to make how to do it. But just sewing clothes, or even mending clothes, I feel is kind of a lost thing that people need to learn. It's kind of canning food. A lot of people don't know how to can food anymore, but it's so helpful to be able to do it. And yeah, like having a garden and like canning your own food is just like a good practice for like learning where your food comes from and like how much work it takes to like can it and then being able to eat it in the wintertime. And so like sewing's like kind of like that too. Like, yeah, I just wish that it was like being passed on to generations or like to our generation, because like then we wouldn't be buying so many new clothes all the time, and it takes away like support away from like, you know, like I don't know, almost slave trade like within the industry, like clothing industry, and also takes away from like this like terrible view that like the media has of like women and like the shapes that they're supposed to be and like the sizes, and like if you can make your own clothes and you're not really thinking about like, oh, I'm this size or that size, it's just like, oh, I made this great shirt and it fits well because I made it and I made the pattern. And so like I wish that that was something that was more common, and especially like at EMU, like a place where like issues like that are discussed a lot, but I feel like there's oftentimes there's not like a practical step to take, and I feel like sewing is like a really simple one that people, you learn how to sew and make your own clothes, and you're not supporting all these different industries, and you're not supporting like these images that people are supposed to look like and things like that. So the past like year or so, I've had a sewing night like once a week, and I have people who come over and I like teach them how to do like just some basic sewing, or like they'll bring projects that they're working on that they don't really know how to do, and I'll help them work on those, and it's been really good. And I think now I'm just doing it once a month. I don't know, like you have like this community event where people come and they're sewing, but then it's like easier to talk. Like I can be pretty awkward sometimes and in like social contexts, and so if like we're already working on something and then conversation flows like more comfortably, it's like a little bit easier to relate to people.